Remember to take any opportunity to push for acquiring infinity.
Did Masako send you to try and convince me to acquire Infinity Ltd? I think we both know that's not going to work. Our public perception is good enough. If you ask me, reaching out to save Infinity just makes us look weak. The internal neuroamp gives us the power to crush our competitors, not take them under our wing. This is exactly why Masako's time as CEO is finished. I'll overlook your poorly educated statement. For now. Throwing your competitor a lifeline when they're about to crash and burn hardly seems wise. Well, it does make Ryujin look good. And we do gain a wider customer base, which means higher profits. You're oddly right about this one, Op. I guess you are worth keeping around. As long as everyone has Ryujin's best interests in mind, this should make for an interesting meeting. An issue? That would be a foolish move. Dalton and Alexis are the only two against it. You'd never get the rest to shut it down. Did I lose you? As long as we have the proper safeguards and rules in place, the benefits exponentially outweigh the drawbacks. Even if we limit the usage to Ryujin Industries employees alone, the advantages are too numerous to count. Dangerous indeed. For all I know, you're using it right now. The irony. Perhaps I didn't see it earlier, but you're right. The moment a competitor reverse engineers Vina's work, it'll be chaos. The last thing I want is to have my brain scrambled because some engineer didn't do their due diligence. Now, if you'll excuse me, I still have a lot of preparations to make.
Hey there. And how's my favorite patient doing? Not seeing any temporal memory flashes or losing time, I hope. That's great. I'd say Project Dominion is ready for legitimate human trials in that case. One step closer to seeing market approval. Genevieve is going to be so excited. So, tell me what you think of the neuroamp. I hope you're not actually suggesting that the technology I spent years working on and perfecting never sees the light of day. This is groundbreaking work. My life's work. Of course I do, but there are amazing things Dominion can be used for, too. Humanity has always created dangers, and we've always policed them as well. The internal neuroamp will be no different. It just needs to find its place. Fine, fine. Make your case. Even if the public did pitch a fit, there's always work to be found, especially when it comes to engineering. You really think they could come after me? Well, perhaps I really do need more data. It could definitely do a lot of damage in the wrong hands. Well, this conversation's made me feel like a proper monster. But you're right. In a perfect world, tech like this is used for good. But this world is far from perfect. It is. It really is. For years, my only focus has been, is this possible? And then, how do I make it work? I never stopped to consider if it was right, or what it would mean. I guess it'll be up to a vote either way. It's not on the meeting agenda, so I assume you'll bring it up yourself? We just have to hope the others will see reason. So the next question is, what will the fate of Infinity Ltd be? I'd like to acquire them, although it won't break my heart if we don't. Faye may have stepped over a line in her attempt to replicate my work, but she's a brilliant engineer. I'm very curious to see what else she may have been working on and dig into her research. Exactly. Not that I want to gloat over it. Maybe just a little. Okay, so DeMarcus and I have really been looking forward to it, so fingers crossed this deal goes through. Well, this has certainly been the most interesting conversation of my day. All we can do now is look forward to the meeting, right? See you in there.
You operatives really will wear anything. Just the person I wanted to see. I want to get all the details locked down for this meeting, and I believe you to be one of the best sources available. Good. I prefer first-hand feedback when available. You've had the chance to encounter members of Infinity LTD throughout your assignments here. Do you think they're worth redemption? And why? You can tell a lot by just looking at a workspace or simply observing a person in their business environment. Perhaps I mistakenly assumed that as an operative here, observation was a talent of yours. Saving the jobs of thousands is altruistic, which is not a luxury corporations have. It's a financial burden. It would be a huge undertaking on my part. That is a plea more well spent on Genevieve or Alexis. I prefer to focus on the numbers and leave emotions out of my decision-making. Perhaps I wanted to see if I could be convinced otherwise. It's easy to say, it's the right thing to do for someone in your position. But for me, Infinity LTD is a huge financial unknown. It's high risk versus mediocre reward. Your disdain is noted. And perhaps you thought I'd care because you're hopeful. Next question. What is your opinion on how Masako handled the mole situation? Any insight into what made it successful? Interesting. So this must have been a situation that required some extreme secrecy on their part. I appreciate the insight. I suppose I should ask if there's anything I can do for you, considering how helpful you've been. It's the next big step for Ryujin Industries. Financially, it'll keep us secure for years to come. There's no doubt it's our future. It's only dangerous to those who can't afford one, hence the added motivation that will bolster sales. The guarantee depends on if we're willing to make the financial commitment to outfitting each employee with at least a shielding component. A cost that's not lost on me as CFO. It's possible. But with Alexis and Genevieve driving the restrictions and presentation of such a product, it's also highly unlikely. This has been rather enlightening for me. I appreciate the time.
If operation starts to bore you, let me know. You make a perfect lab rat for the R&D team.
Is Masako checking up on me to make sure I'm on her side? Because that's what I do. You want something in this business? You don't pull any punches. The only real question is just how persuasive she asked you to be. And I don't have an agenda. Look, I know Masako sent you. She knows I want this deal as much as she does. We just need to grab Infinity Ltd. while it's got the public's full attention. I'm all about free PR, especially when it's painting us in a good light. Infinity is that sad company in distress with thousands of employees terrified of their futures right now. We are the warm embrace of security coming to rescue them. The only downsides are the unknowns. Lyndon and Alexis are gonna have a lot on their hands. Not that I'm getting off easy. Whatever they find, if it hits the public, that's gonna fall on my shoulders too. I'm sure I can squeeze enough goodwill out of this to last us at least a year. The consumer is our lifeblood, so capturing their wants and desires, of course it's all I care about. I'm sure I wouldn't be in this position today if it wasn't. All right, I suppose you've earned the right to voice your opinion after everything you've done, qualified or not. So let's hear it. Of course, which is why I know it requires some very delicate handling. But unlike Alexis, I believe we can get the proper restrictions and regulations in place to have a marketable product. We do it every day with weapons we arm ourselves and our ships with. The possible backlash on tech like this is not lost on me. However, the internal neuroamp will define the next era of tech, with Ryujin at the forefront. It's not an opportunity you just walk away from. Not when you word it like that. But a product that can settle disputes or help broaden someone's point of view? Then you really have something that consumers will buy into. Well, it seems your talents really do stretch beyond just being an operative. Good talk. Maybe I'll even consult you on future endeavors.
So much work to do.
This meeting should prove to be very interesting. I assume Masako briefed you on her preferred outcome. Good on you. If it were up to me, I'd have shut down Project Dominion a long time ago. I knew it was a grave security risk, and look what happened. Completely. I understand the success it can bring for the corporation, but my only concern here is security. It's not that the board majority fails to see the dangers. It's that they believe we can overcome them. That hubris could easily bring this corporation down one day. I only hope it won't be on my watch. It's not often, but yes. And I'm not the only board member that initially voted against moving forward with the research. You read my mind. Let's just hope Masako and the others see it that way. Plus, if we vote to acquire Infinity Ltd., we're about to add a significant workload onto my team. The last thing I want to deal with are any more incidents this new neuroamp might cause. Well, the timing could be better, but I don't feel strongly one way or another about the acquisition. We've gone through our fair share in the past, and this one would be no different. If Masako wishes to bring Infinity into the fold, I will not stand against it. I imagine we're looking at months of work. Infinity Ltd. Is obviously not known for their security. I only hope that Masako and the others will be patient with the process. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some preparations to make. We'll be announcing Ularu's termination of employment at this meeting, so I need to have security ready to escort her off the premises.
Well, if it isn't my favorite operative, something I can help you with? Not much to discuss there. I believe I've made my case quite clear to Masako on why I am against it. I can guarantee that Infinity Ltd. Was up to more than just the current charges. The process of finding and following up on all those threads won't be easy. I refuse to be blindsided by another corporation's past, so this is going to take a lot of time and patience. All right, I could use the entertainment. Tell me why Infinity is a good asset. A certain amount of confidence during the negotiations would go a long way in this situation. You're right. Perhaps I am focusing too much on the negatives. Huh. Well, what do you know? I think you just convinced me. Talent like yours belongs in the courtroom. Nice to know someone is. Everyone's too busy praising its completion to think about the dangers it could represent. First off, if I find out you used that device on me, I will tie you up in court on whatever charges I can conjure for the rest of your life. Second, that tech is one major human rights violation that no legal team wants to fight. I'll do whatever I can to make sure it's either severely delayed or collects dust in storage. Tech like this only has good applications when you have complete control over who uses it. Once that tech hits a market, open or private, that control is gone. And not only that, the tech is out there to be advanced or modified by anyone who might get their hands on it. Because the external neuroamps are built to help the user on a personal level. They aid in reason, communication, confidence, all things that can make the difference in a person's self-image. And yes, they can be abused. But that's why there are laws regarding improper usage. Well, I'm both glad and surprised to hear the one person who has one say that. Masako is lucky to have you at her disposal, you know? You may be the greatest asset, aside from the internal neuroamp, that Ryujin has. This exchange has been surprisingly insightful, but now I really do need to get back to my notes.
All right, everyone. As you all know, we've successfully exposed Infinity Ltd's botched human trials and murder for hire through SSNN. The public is demanding their leadership, namely Lucas Drexler, face trial, and he's probably writing his resignation as we speak. Ryujin will be launching a statement, but I believe now is the perfect time to acquire Infinity Ltd.
Believe it or not, I agree. The acquisition has risks, and it's going to create a lot of work for all of us. But the overall payoff will be worth it.
Legal ramifications are a certainty, but the benefits far outweigh the disadvantages.
Arguments?
Infinity Ltd. could be the Pandora's box of financial and legal risks. I simply cannot support an acquisition.
I think what we're all overlooking is what led us to this situation to begin with. Yes, our security was compromised. But considering Dalton was hired by Masako, the issue obviously starts at the top. In fact, I propose that Masako be removed from CEO altogether.
Ularu, this isn't a line you want to cross.
And considering you're the mole, if anyone's going to be removed from power, it's going to be you.
Hold up. Are you saying you lied to us?
Dalton, the last meeting we had, you distinctly said Imogene was the mole, and she'd been dealt with. Were you going to say something?
Do you even have any proof to back up this outrageous claim?
Of course we do. The malicious code you hid on this slate to upload incriminating evidence against Masako onto Lucas Drexler's computer.
To put it bluntly, Ularu, you're fired. Security will hold you in your office until a proper exit interview can be done.
This isn't right. I should at least have the opportunity to resign.
And allow you to still be marketable to a competitor? I don't think so. This may be news to me, and I will be reviewing the evidence closely. But this isn't something you just get to walk away from.
Security, escort Miss Chen to her office and see that she stays put.
You'll regret this. All of you.
I believe the only regret would be trusting you to begin with.
All right, back to business. All in favor of acquiring Infinity Ltd?
Aye.
All against?
Nay.
Good. Alexis, start drawing up the necessary documentation. Anyone have anything else they'd like to bring up? The internal neuroamp is a key component of Ryujin Industries' success for the next 10 years, if not more. Why would we shelve it after we've finally perfected it? Pay attention.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but he's right. Regardless of the pros, the cons are too morally and ethically irresponsible to move forward with.
Agreed. Not to mention the security risks.
Very well. All in favor of shelving Project Dominion?
Aye.
All against? Vina, prep Project Dominion for storage. Any other matters to bring forth? None? This concludes our order of business for today.
This meeting sounds like it could get...
Did Masako's? Our public perception. The internal new... This is exact... Good. Well, you're oddly... As long as... An issue? Dalton... Dangerous indeed. Perhaps I'd... The last thing I want. Now, if you'll excuse...
I hope you're enjoying your new Neuroamp? And how's my favorite? Oh, that's great. One step closer. So, I hope you're not actually... This is ground... Fine, fine. You... Well, perhaps... It's true. Well, this... But you're right. It is. I never stopped to I guess it'll be up. We just have to hope. So the next... Exactly. Okay. Well, this is certainly... All we can do now is...
You're looking interesting. Just the person. Good. You've had the chance. Do you think they'll... Saving the job, it's a financial... Next question. Any insight into... Interesting. I appreciate... It's only dangerous. I think we all... Our competition has yet to truly master neuroamps, but the possibility is there. This has been rather... Excuse me. I have a lot of data to analyze.
Is Masako checking up? Well, we just need to... I'm all about free... I'm sure I can... All right. So let's hear it. The possible backlash. However, it's not an opportunity. Of course there is. You just have to know the right way to... As any good market... Well, it seems...
Ooh, look at that.
This meeting should prove. I assume... Good on you. If it were up, I knew it would. You read my mind. Plus, if we... The last thing I imagine we'll look... I only hope that... Now, Netflix, we'll be announcing Ular...
Well, if it isn't my... Now... All right, a certain amount. The benefits to... Huh. Talent like yours. Don't even get me. First off. Second, I'll do what... Well, I'm both glad. Masako is lucky to have... You may be the great... This exchange is...
All right, everyone. The public is... Ryujin will be...
Believe it or not, I agree. The acquisition has risks, and it's going to create a lot of work.
Legal ramifications.
Arguments?
Infinity L... I simply cannot...
I think what we're all... Yes, our... In fact...
Ularu, this...
And considering...
Hold up.
Dalton, the...
Do you even have...
Of course we...
To put it blunt...
This isn't right.
And allow you... This may be...
Security.
Yuri.
I believe the only...
All right. Back...
Aye.
All against?
Nay.
Good. Anyone have anything? The internal... Why would we ship?
I can't believe I... Regardless of...
I must agree. We can't go through with production on technology like this until certain safeties can be...
Very well. All in favor of shelving Project Dominion?
Aye.
All against?
Nay.
Vina, prep Project Dominion for storage. Any other matters to bring forth? None? This concludes our order of business for today.
If only there were more hours in the day.
You operatives really will wear anything.
Shelving the internal neuroamp. Not the outcome I anticipated. A fine point, but it still proves its usefulness. The truth remains, Lucas Drexler learned a hard lesson, and we exposed a traitor among us. You've proven yourself to be quite the asset here at Ryujin. I suppose it is. Gratitude isn't something you typically hear these days in the corporate world. I truly appreciate the work you put into exposing Ularu. No operative has ever had to investigate our own to the extent that you did. I can imagine it may have been a lot of pressure, considering you were fairly new at the time. Not often, and certainly not to this degree. We have the occasional employee consider selling information, but Thanks to our security and operations teams, we always catch them before any damage can be done. This was the first time anyone from either department was involved. My thought exactly. Imogene's instincts were right about you. Now, as promised, I have your bonus. I hope you'll find it appropriate for all you've done. And I'm promoting you to senior operative. You've more than earned it. As for the details, I think someone back on the operations floor would prefer to explain those to you.
Taking a break?
Can I help you?
You've certainly shaken things up around here. I still can't believe Ularu tried to frame me. An obvious misjudgment on my part. But now that's all in the past. It's time to get back to your typical day-to-day. Of course. If you think anyone here believes in downtime, forget it. And I'd say it's good to be back if I hadn't returned to a mountain of paperwork. Now, since you were new, you've been dealing with people, but most of our assignments are generated on the mission board. The board holds any available assignments that our techs have pieced together, and I've approved. Questions? No, but try to see that as an improvement, since I certainly do. The mission board is more efficient for both of us. Well, after this conversation, you can head up to your office and see for yourself. Just think of it as a computer that lets you pick and choose your assignments at will, rather than having to deal with me all the time. Nothing you aren't already familiar with. You experienced the majority of what we do here during your training, if you recall. Uploading a few files, manipulating a narrative or two, obtaining schematics, it's just more of the same. I wish. Assignment approval isn't exactly riveting work. With your promotion, you've earned yourself an office, so whenever you're ready, you can find your own personal mission board inside. And the best perk of them all, you're free to make your own hours. Oh, and congratulations, of course. No, only within the tower. The security risk would be far too much to allow access to that data in a public space. You certainly will. Go check out the board, and if you have any questions, I suppose I can start up an open door policy. Just for you. Don't tell me the mission board doesn't keep... It's a relief. I'll take my desk job over being on the run any day. I was lucky enough to have plenty of connections and favors to abuse in my situation. We'll see how many of those favors come back to haunt me later. If you don't want to earn credits, that's up to you. But I can understand how lackluster they may seem after what you've pulled off. The mission board is where you receive your assignments from now on. Well, with the exception of the occasional special request from Masako.
You're interrupting me. Is this time accounted for? We're on a strict schedule. I just want to make sure this impromptu meeting is properly tracked. Then I will remind you that the schedule exists for a reason, and we seem to be ignoring it. If time is money, then suffice to say Ms. Serrano would not be pleased with such a frivolous expenditure. Ms. Yuko Serrano, Senior Operations Specialist at Ryujin Industries? She's one of the heads of the department you're standing in. You may have a point. And since you clearly have bandwidth to spare, maybe you can help me clean up a, minor indiscretion. Contractually, yes, but I'd rather avoid the embarrassment. Normally, I do a good job of setting boundaries between work and life. This incident is an exception. I'm not at liberty to say. I will remind you of another common phrase: loose lips sink ships. So, be cautious around the office and discuss intel at your peril. We're each assigned shifts to assist operatives, ensuring coverage at all hours. Personally, I like to keep my circadian rhythms intact. Early to rise, early to bed, as nature intended. Good. Let me give you some background. Recently, I've been assisting the impoverished in both Ebbside and the underbelly. I pay for the occasional meal, clinic visit, or comfort. But I may have lost a slate in the process. I need you to locate and retrieve it for me. It's not a matter of trust, but one of time. I have little to spare. You do not. Pre-assignment intel for one of our operatives. The contents themselves aren't too sensitive, so if you're thinking of betraying me, they aren't worth much as leverage. My sloppiness is simply an embarrassment that I'd like to correct. Then we have an agreement. Good. Go to the underbelly and talk to the panhandler, Huang. Discarded items are her specialty, so she may have come across the slate herself. If you can manage to find it, bring it back to me, and I will pay you for the time. Contractually, yes, but I'd rather avoid the embarrassment. Normally, I do a good job of setting boundaries between work and life. This incident is an exception. Perhaps I can best explain with an analogy. There is an aquatic species on Volii Epsilon, which, by cruel irony or test of metal, hatches on dry land. Only 1 in 10,000 make it to adulthood. Most are eaten, some simply die in the crawl to the ocean. Meanwhile, there is a similar species that is born in the water itself. They never make this journey and thus never know its hardship. Which begs the question, is that fair? In the natural world, I'd agree, but here, we can make a change. I know what you're thinking, and I am not what you'd call a bleeding heart. Moreover, I find the underbelly filthy and unsanitary. But I also believe in equity. I am well aware that my life came with a head start, so I try my best to balance the equation and bring the hatchlings to the water. Think what you will, but I don't have to approve of the notion. But as much as I dislike the underbelly, I will say this. It is a welcome change of pace. When you spend all day keeping secrets, a burden is placed on one's conscience. The time I spend volunteering sheds some of that weight. Until next time.
is now docked. Perfect. Didn't even smudge the paint.
Great day for some exploring, huh?
Whatever you need, you got it.
Ah, weird. I wish... Finally. Let's get out of here. Last one to the ship is a rotten Prasada berry.
Oh, sorry. Was doing that. Never regretted coming. Haven't made a match yet.
I have something for you. This place is a delightful relic tangled up with hope, grit, and science. Oh, good. Story time. Can I carry that? Till next time.